I don't know about you, but I've been spending way too much time thinking about really useless things. I think about how bi-monthly can mean twice a month or every 2 months. I think about the difference between sweet potatoes and yams, and lately I keep thinking about the upcoming 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics and the names of their mascots. So today, let me explain their names and why I think they're terrible. If you are over 20 years old, you probably remember the 2008 Beijing Summer Olympics. I remember being absolutely amazed at the opening ceremony, and I really liked the 5 mascots they chose. The name of the mascots, or Fuwa as they were called, were Beibei, Jingjing, Huanhuan, Yingying, and Nini. Together, the names sound very close to the words needed to make the sentence Beijing 欢迎你, which means Beijing welcomes you, which reminds me of that incredibly catchy song they wrote for the Olympics.
Beijing 欢迎你，为你开天辟地.
And now you have the 2022 Winter Olympics mascots, Bing Duan Duan and Xue Rong Rong, or as they decided to call them in English, Bing Duan Duan and Shui Ron Ron, a giant panda and an anthropomorphic Chinese lantern. First of all, I'm not going to criticize the way they look. They're pretty cute and way better than anything I could draw. What I want to talk about is their name and how their names are technically illegal. Okay, well, not super illegal, but like illegal-ish? Because it really doesn't follow Article 18 of the Law of the People's Republic of China on the Common Language, which says that Pinyin should be used for the spelling of Chinese names, place names, and Roman letters in Chinese documents and used in areas where Chinese characters are inconvenient or unusable. So what is Pinyin? Well, Pinyin is the official romanization system for Standard Mandarin Chinese in mainland China. See, this and this should be read as Bing Duan Duan and Xue Rong Rong. Do you notice the Pinyin right there? It's very clear. Bing Duan Duan and Xue Rong Rong. If you are one of the tens of millions of people who have taken even just a class or two of Chinese, then you should be able to read these names fairly easily. But for whatever reason, they decided to completely ignore this decade-old, universally observed, legally regulated written system and pretty much make up a new written system just for those 2 mascots and instead write their names as Bing Duan Duan and Shui Ron Ron. So why abandon Pinyin and use this new unofficial written system? Well, because they were afraid that people would not be able to read Pinyin. That's right, on the one hand you have a written system that at least tens of millions of learners know how to read, and that's been used for decades to write the names of places and people, even in foreign language newspapers. And on the other hand, you have this new system, probably made up on the spot by some newly hired intern whose only interaction with foreigners was that one time they met a foreign student in their school's English Corner event. I know this sounds silly, but I'm 100% confident that this is what happened. They discussed the names of the mascots, then came time to translate them, and someone said that foreigners wouldn't be able to read Pinyin, so let's instead make up some random written system that allow them to read the names in a way that kinda sounds like the real thing. Now, as a formally trained Mandarin teacher, I can't stand this. Mandarin teachers go through a lot of trouble preparing themselves to teach how to write and read Pinyin, and this kind of fake romanization basically sends a message saying, hey, no worries, you don't need to learn Pinyin, or even worse, you'll have people learning Mandarin and getting confused when learning a written system that is different from what they've seen in official Chinese content. First, let's look at the differences between the official names and their actual Pinyin. The first mascot, Bing Duan Duan, should be written this way in Pinyin. Now, if you don't know Pinyin, you might be tempted to read it as Bing Dun Dun. Now, the first one is pretty easy, as Bing is a sound that is fairly common in English.
Bing, bing. I love it.
But Dun isn't quite what we're looking for. However, Duan isn't either. D-U-N should be read as Duan. So the whole name is Bing Dun Dun. Now for the Paralympic mascot, Shui Ron Ron, in Pinyin it should be Xue Rong Rong. I'll admit the first sound, xue, can be quite hard. The X sound is kind of like the sound we make when we try to shush someone. Shh. And the UE sound is yue. Together we get xue. I personally find that the way they've chosen to write it sounds closer to shui, which could mean water, shui. Now for the ron ron part, you might be tempted to read it as ron, but the R sound is a retroflex consonant, meaning that the sound is produced with the tip of the tongue curled back toward the hard palate. Now for the other part of the word, I have no idea why they decided to remove the G at the end. I think most people should be able to make the n sound like at the end of wrong, as opposed to ron. Ron. So together, this mascot's name should be read as Xue Rong Rong. Xue Rong Rong. The Olympics are a great opportunity for a country to let the whole world know them a little bit better. I know the 2008 Olympics are really what made me realize that China was an incredible country with a rich history and a fascinating language. And I think the 2022 Olympics would be a great opportunity to do even more of that. Imagine if instead of using these weird non-standardized names, they used actual Pinyin and took the opportunity to teach the whole world how to read Pinyin. I know quite a few Chinese friends that would love it if people could pronounce their names a little bit better when they were abroad. Alright, rant over. If there's one thing you should remember from this video, it's that Pinyin is still worth learning and that you shouldn't let those random written systems convince you otherwise. Remember the names of the 2022 mascots, Bing Dun Dun and Xue Rong Rong, and be sure to keep practicing. See you next time.